Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah. Welcome to episode 6 of Just Let Me Touch the Trees. And I realize that I am late getting another episode out to you, but that's mainly because I did a lot of hibernating, I guess you could say, in February. I'm sure you guys can all relate. There's a lot going on in the world, and there's also been a lot of things going on in my personal life, and I really just needed to go inward and kind of work through those things, and just really take some time to myself because I wasn't exactly sure how to organize my thoughts and what I wanted to talk to you all about today. The last episode was on wintering, and that's basically what I spent the last month doing was wintering, hibernating inside and really trying to understand where I would like my life to go. When we move into spring, the equinox. So, and essentially for me, the new year. Um, and I think that maybe one of the things that I want to talk about today is how we still need to be able to make space for and hold joy, even when things aren't going so well for us personally, but also when things surrounding us, the environments that we are in on a global level as well, can be really quite heavy and dark. Um, I think one of the most important things that we can do as human beings is to really be intentional about keeping that that gratitude and joy for whatever that is in your life, to hold space for that, because if we lose that part of our humanity, then we lose the most valuable part, which is the empathetic parts of ourselves. And for me personally, for example, this afternoon, I had some meetings earlier this morning, and I took the afternoon because it's a beautiful day, to just come and sit with the trees. The title of the name of this podcast is Just Let Me Touch the Trees. And I honestly, like, it's one of those things that I need in order to just kind of recenter myself and bring myself back to who I am truly underneath all the noise that we find in daily life and in the world, in our jobs, in our personal life too. Um, I don't know if it's been a heavier period for you all as well. That's some of the feedback that I've also gotten from friends of mine as well. That this last month has not necessarily been a walk in the park or a reason to celebrate for a lot of things. And I think that probably one of the most valuable practices that we can do, um, as individuals, it's kind of our own individual work, right? We are part of a collective, and it's important to remember that we're part of the collective, is that we need to make sure that even being part of the collective, we make space for our own um, personal balance, personal comfort, and joy. Because if we're not taking care of ourselves, we can't take care of anybody else, right? It's like trying to fill others from an empty cup, and that's not. It's an impossible task. And for many many years, I did that in my life. I gave and I gave and I gave to everyone around me, and there was nothing left for myself. And that lasts only so long, right? And then when that happens, we arrive at burnout. And one thing that I have learned personally is that burnout is not something that you just kind of like spring back from and recover from right off the bat. It takes time. And even then, even when you feel like you've made progress, your body remembers that those feelings and those things that happened. And one of the things for me that's happened personally is that, like, I used to pride myself on being this really highly productive, yes person. Yes, I can do that. Yes, I'll do that. Absolutely. Sure, you can count on me. And while I still really pride myself on being a very accountable person and a very accountable human being, I realized in the hard way when I basically emptied myself out fully for everybody else but myself, that 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 way, that mode of operating is not sustainable over time. And um, I've also found, like, getting back into a life that I'm building, that I fully love myself, making choices that are for me and not for other people, in my um I'm not going to say in my daily life, but I used to let people influence me in my circle, even family, for a really long time. And um, that was detrimental to my own growth as a person. And what I found, and jumping back into the things that I really love to do and that I get excited about and passionate about, and I love the work that I do for my PhD in participation and involving people and including them in the decision making processes of really important things for their well-being and resilience in the communities that they live in. I found that even if I want to say yes sometimes, my body's like, mm-mm, no, no, we can't do that. And my recovery time is still a lot longer than it used to be. And I think that that's honestly, at the beginning when this first happened to me, um, I would get really angry about it because I'd be really frustrated because I didn't feel like I was operating in the most productive way I could be. But that's an old method of thinking, right? That's not actually how I want to live my life. Those are old habits, that for decades essentially that I operated under. And I think that a lot of, at least that's a it's a huge part of American culture anyway, to be as productive as possible. What are you producing? What are you giving back to the capitalist society, right? We very often, at least in my experience where I grew up, there wasn't a lot of time to just be still. And that's one of the really beautiful joys that I've found in my relocation to where I am in Italy, um, is that there's an appreciation for slow living. Now there's loads of things to do all the time here, okay, as well. Like, I'm not saying that people aren't busy and they have things to do, but this afternoon, for example, where I'm sitting here, um, just sitting in the sun, um, and appreciating connecting with nature. And I also did some sketching because I enjoy that. I'm a creative person. Those aren't things that I felt like I had space for in my old life. And I think even in this last month in February, when the weight of a lot of different things in my life as well as the world, like, it was hard for me to be productive at anything. And I think, and I'm still also coming to terms with the fact that it's okay if we're not producing anything. I talk about it all the time, but even I am still learning that um, there is still going to be remnants of old habits, and that's part of the healing process, right? Is that we're constantly learning and growing if we're open to it, if we're aware and intentional about what we do, how we spend our time. And essentially, that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, is just that it's so important to make space for small joy, especially when things feel heavy. And so that's, I guess, my encouragement and my recommendation to you all, is that even though things seem really, really heavy right now, things seem really quite dark. Um, there's also a lot of darkness in the if you've ever studied the death and rebirth of cycles, right? Everything always kind of seems darkest before the light. And so I like to approach this particular period in history and time as, how can I position myself to be my best self, the best version of myself? So that means I need to be centered. That means that I need to make sure that I make space for gratitude, even if things seem like they aren't going the way I want them to. I need to trust that the universe is leading me to where I need to go, because it's never been wrong, honestly, even if I had to learn the hard way, because, I'm a Taurus, I'm stubborn. It just happens. You know what I mean? Um, that we need to make sure that we make space for daily joy, and however small that is. Okay, that could be just sending a nice message to let someone know you care. That could be coming out and sitting in the grass by the trees for a couple hours in the afternoon. That could be making your favorite food, um, watching your favorite show, reading a favorite book. And those are just some of the things that I enjoy doing, and it could look completely different for everybody. It could be a sport. Um, it could be going to a favorite place or restaurant, whatever that is for you. Calling your mom or your dad or your friends, whatever. It's important that we make space for those things, especially when the world seems really dark. Because I truly believe that there are more good people in this world than bad. And if each one of us empathetic humans, make space for that for ourselves, so then we can fill our own cup, and then that cup's overflowing, right? It's overflowing to offer kindness, joy, love, gratitude, appreciation, all of those emotions that have that really beautiful high energy level. Then we do make changes. We change the world. It becomes a ripple effect. And that's a lot of the way that I like to approach my work in local communities. I think it's maybe why I focus locally, is that we never really know the impact that our small dose of kindness or small dose of joy can give somebody, and what that ripple effect can do. Because usually what happens is when you give some joy to somebody, you bring happiness in some way to someone, they also in turn give that to somebody else, and so on and so forth. And so then that impact becomes exponential. And I think it's really important for us to focus on that ripple effect, that exponential potential that we have when we intentionally focus on bringing joy to ourselves and centering ourselves and being intentional with our time. um, what that effect can have on the future of the world that we want to build. Because I know it's pretty. I think we can all more or less, most of us can agree that we have to build a different world. We have to build a better world, and we can do that. We have the capacity. We have the intention if we just make the space, and it can be that at a very very small amount, just to start. Like, I don't make it into this big huge thing that feels overwhelming. And when I work in sustainability, that's kind of what I try to do. Because at its huge concept, sustainability and building resilient communities can feel like, I don't, where do we start? It's such a big problem. How do we solve this? I don't even know. And what we have to do is I do exercises with people that break the problem down, and then we break it down even further, and then we find one thing that we can focus on, that everybody connects with, that we can push forward. And so when we also do that with ourselves and our internal work, to bring joy to ourselves and break things down into small pieces, so a daily action that gives you joy, that builds on itself to where your day is suddenly full of joyful energy and gratitude for the things that you have in your life, which attracts more things that bring you joy and gratitude, and also the people. Um, and I suppose that that's all that I really wanted to talk to you guys about today. I've been thinking about it a lot, on what what we should focus on, and I think that that's really the base of it, is that especially now, especially in these times, I challenge you every day. I challenge you each day just to do one small thing that brings you joy. One small action every day, whether that's writing one sentence about something that you're grateful for. Like, it doesn't even have to be complicated. It could be, man, my breakfast was exceptional today. Or, I really love the way the sunlight is hitting the trees to my left over here. Something small, and I guarantee you that your mindset will begin to expect the joyful first instead of the bad. Another practical thing, if you're looking for that, and this is something that I do, I really limit my exposure daily to uh, negative feeds in social media, and I need to be better, more intentional about disconnecting. I think that that's also key. Disconnecting from devices and reconnecting with each other and the earth. Um, so I would love to know what it is that you do already to bring yourself some joy in your life and create a space of hope and gratitude and love and happiness. Write it in the comments, send me a message. Um, my socials are all in the comments. Follow along, join the pack, my little pack of wild ones, and I will see you next time. As always, thank you guys for listening. Thanks for being here, and I appreciate you so much. And have a wonderful, wonderful day.